The air is thick with tension as one of the Warriors' brightest young stars, Jonathan Kuminga, finds himself tangled in a saga that feels straight out of a high-stakes thriller, not just for him, but for all of Dub Nation. Welcome back to Warriors News Fan Report, where raw truths collide with splash-era passion. Smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so your heart never misses a beat. Now, let's dive deep into the swirling rumors and mounting drama plaguing Golden State's offseason, where Kuminga's uncertain future has become the pulse of every conversation within the silent shadows of Chase Center and beyond. Just when you thought the all-season news cycle might give us some respite, whispers of a potential deal linking Kuminga to the Milwaukee Bucks surged forward, lighting up fan forums and inboxes with stories that seemed almost too good or too complicated to be true. But here's the twist no one saw coming. The Bucks reportedly shot down a sign-in trade that could have sent Kuminga to Milwaukee in exchange for Bobby Portis, the very player the Warriors have eyed long before the 2024 trade deadline. A veteran presence who might have balanced their front line while shoring up the team's grit. Yet, it appears Milwaukee isn't willing to part with Portis on Golden State's terms, fact that reveals the increasing difficulty for the front office in crafting deals that don't hamstring the team's salary cap flexibility or disrupt the careful rotation Steve Kerr has been perfecting since the days when the 7-3-9 Warriors shattered records and hearts alike. It's a stark reminder to fans who recall the gut-wrenching collapse in 2016, when promises of dynasties crumbled against LeBron, James and the Cavaliers, moments that still sting with the memory of what could have been. Kuminga's camp, as reported by insider Brett Siegel, has been clear. Their mission entering this offseason was to secure financial security, tired of inconsistent minutes and a role that some say stalls his growth, echoing past frustrations from players desperate to find their true place amid the Warriors' star-studded constellation. But Golden State, champions forged in the fire of sweat and splash, with Stephen Curry's unforgettable handles guiding their brand of basketball, remains firmly unwilling to meet Kuminga's reported asking price of $30 million annually or to let him slip away without a commanding return. Meanwhile, the Sacramento Kings lurk in the background with a steady offer involving Malik Monk and a first-round pick, an enticement that would excite any franchise looking to shake up their roster. But it cannot come without a sacrifice, forcing Golden State to consider jettisoning Moses Moody or Buddy Hield, both key pieces in Kerr's chessboard, a move the Warriors front office views as too heavy a price, especially with the looming specter of the hard salary cap apron choking out any reckless spending. As this tug-of-war unfolds, questions mount. Can the Warriors continue to juggle their star power Curry's playmaking wizardry, Klay Thompson's ice-cold clutch gene, and Draymond Green's defensive maestro to shelter Kuminga's ascent within their system? Or will the locker room atmosphere crack under quieter, simmering tensions? Could the echoes of Kevin Durant's brief but electrifying era still haunt Golden State's pursuit of delicate chemistry, where individual brilliance must bow to collective legacy? We gaze back on the 2022 title run, a chapter soaked in triumph and unmistakable resilience, only to stare ahead at a cliff of uncertainty where Kuminga's future might either ignite the next golden chapter or fracture a dynasty that fans once thought untouchable. Now Kuminga faces a pivotal choice: bite down on the bitter pill of accepting the $7.9 million qualifying offer and stake everything on another season to prove himself, or resort to a holdout strategy, a gamble teetering on the edge between defiant and desperate, aiming to force a trade and hasten his evolution into the star Warriors fans hope he can be. As the off-season currents swirl relentlessly, the silence from management grows louder, and the possibility of Kuminga suiting up for at least one more turbulent season in Golden State looms ever larger, bringing with it a cocktail of hope, tension, and unspoken questions that choke the locker room air. My pulse races just writing this, thinking about how this could either be the ignition point for Dub Nation's next title run or the first crack splitting a beloved legacy forge through sacrifice, sweat, and the splash that changed the game forever. So, Warriors faithful, Where does your heart land in this unfolding drama? Is Kuminga the missing piece Stephen Curry and the Splash Brothers have been waiting for? Or is this the moment that tests the unbreakable bonds of this championship era? Squad, drop your unfiltered takes in the comments. I'll be right there, heart in hand, ready to ride this roller coaster with you all the way. And maybe that's what makes this moment so dangerous, because every decision, every rotation tweak, every trade rumor swirling through the bay right now feels like it's balancing on the thinnest wire we've ever walked. One wrong move, and the chemistry that's held this dynasty together could shatter before our eyes. But one bold, perfect step, that could spark the kind of run we'll tell our kids about. The one that proves the Warriors weren't just a moment in history. They were the standard. And yet, as much as I want to believe that next step is toward glory, I can't shake the fear that it might send us spiraling into a rebuild we're not ready for. As a lifelong Dub Nation believer, my heart says trust the process, trust the fire that's carried us this far. But my gut knows we're on the edge of something we may never come back from. The air in the bay is thick with uncertainty, like the calm before a storm that threatens to either make or break everything Dub Nation has fought for over the last decade. If you're as locked in as I am for Warriors News Fan Report, smash that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss a second of the drama from the Bay to the Chase Center. Picking up right where we left off, the reverberations from the latest seismic shakeup in the Warriors roster aren't just whispers in the locker room. They're roaring cannonballs ripping through the very foundation of this franchise's future. We're staring down the barrel of what could be either the greatest rebuilding moment, orchestrated with surgical precision, or the beginning of a catastrophic unraveling reminiscent of the 2016 heartbreak after that impossible 73-9 regular season. The front office is now ensnared in a labyrinth of salary cap gymnastics, forced to juggle luxury tax penalties while trying to retain the core pieces that made that 2022 championship run so breathtakingly dominant. You see, the Warriors have always thrived when the puzzle pieces fit just right. The Splash Brothers exploding from beyond the arc, Draymond's defensive genius anchoring chaos into order, and the savvy coaching adjustments from Kerr acting like a master conductor in this orchestra of chaos and brilliance. But with the roster shakeup intensifying the pressure cooker, questions loom large. Will the chemistry that was once the Warriors' secret sauce dissolve under the weight of new egos and fresh faces? Or can Steve Kerr weave another miracle? Yet here's the twist no one saw coming. Rumors swirling around the trade market suggest a potential blockbuster move that could finally recalibrate Golden State's trajectory. Imagine a high-energy, multifaceted wing player who could not only stretch the floor like Thompson, but also slash to the rim and guard multiple positions, giving Kerr the tactical flexibility he craves for late-game rotations. This piece would potentially ease the load on Curry's shoulders, perhaps even allowing him to dial back minutes and preserve that elite spark for the playoffs, a strategy reminiscent of how Kerr managed Steph's workload during the death-defying clutch minutes of that electrifying Game 6 against the Thunder years ago. But in the shadows of this opportunity lurks the menace of locker room fractures, a delicate ecosystem where veteran leadership and rookie fire collide, where contract negotiations breed tension beneath the glossy surface of victory celebrations. Remember when Durant's departure fractured the locker room dynamic and ushered in a period of instability? That tempest still echoes in the collective psyche of the team and fans alike. The Warriors front office, an organization steeped in sabermetrics and basketball intelligence, must now strike a balance that honors the past while fearlessly embracing a new identity, a challenge that evokes memories of the We Believe era, that electrifying underdog run that galvanized the city, but left a roadmap for future battles. The coaching staff is reportedly exploring defensive rotations that could shift the Warriors from their traditional switch everything mantra to a more hybrid zone and man scheme, aiming to counter opponents' evolving offensive arsenals. Could that be the key to unlocking what some have called Golden State's missing defensive link post-Durant? Meanwhile, the rookie development arcs are under a microscope like never before. each practice possession dissected like it's game. 7 of the finals. How do you integrate raw, explosive talent that's hungry to carve its name into the Warriors' lore without eroding the delicate chemistry built over years of battle-hardened campaigns? It's not just about minutes on the floor. It's about finding the heartbeat of a unit that once rewrote basketball history with ball movement, trust, and unselfish brilliance. One wrong rotation, one ego bruised by benching, and the ripple effect could tilt the balance from dominance to mediocrity, faster than a 20-point lead evaporating in the third quarter. The coaching staff knows it's walking a tightrope, balancing the promise of tomorrow with the urgency of today. And all the while the veterans watch half mentors, half competitors gauging whether these rookies have the composure to play. Warriors basketball when the lights are blinding and the noise deafening. And then enter the narrative that refuses to fade the rivalry, that unspoken electricity that transforms ordinary matchups into epic theater. Every clash with the Lakers carries echoes of past playoff wars. Each possession a skirmish in a war of legacies that stretches from Magic versus Run TMC to Curry versus LeBron. The Timberwolves, young and hungry, are no longer just a fun upstart. They're a threat with size, athleticism, and a growing confidence that demands respect. The Nuggets? They're the defending champions who took the crown while the Warriors were licking wounds, and every game against them feels like a referendum on whether the dynasty still breathes. These aren't just battles on the hardwood. They're wars of pride, ego, and history, where every three-pointer, every defensive stop, feels like it carries the weight of seasons past. The emotional stakes spike to fever pitch because Dub Nation knows what's at risk. Listen about making the playoffs. It's about proving that the DNA of champions still runs through this roster's veins. The Bay remembers the We Believe run, the 73-9 heartbreak, the Game 6 Clay miracle in OKC, the 2022 redemption arc, every triumph and gut punch, shaping the way fans see the present moment. There's hope for another era-defining run that cements the Warriors' place in the pantheon of basketball royalty, an era where rookies bloom under the brightest lights and veterans summon one last great push to etch their names deeper into history. But lurking in the back of every conversation is the other side of the coin, the fear that the dynasty we loved is slipping through our fingers like sand at Ocean Beach, that the magic might not be infinite, and that the next chapter could bring hard truths instead of banner ceremonies. Will the infusion of youth restore faith and energy, or will the crack small now but growing widen into an abyss that swallows the identity of Warriors basketball? Will the front office pull the trigger on a bold move to rearm the roster, or will they trust the process and risk watching rivals surge ahead? And as we stand on the edge of whatever comes next for Dub Nation, with the Chase Center crowd ready to roar or gasp, depending on the next possession, I can't shake the question, are we witnessing the ignition of our next dynasty push, or the fracture that sends it all crashing down? Sound off in the comments? Dub Nation, I'll be right there in the thick of it with you, riding every high and every heartbreak, from the first tip-off to the final buzzer. From where I'm sitting, this moment feels like the ultimate crossroads. The Warriors' legendary resilience will either blaze through the doubts and remind the league why they changed the game, or the weight of the past, the grind of the present, and the fear of fading relevance might finally tip the scales in the wrong direction. Whatever happens, one thing is certain: this roller coaster is far from over, and every twist from here on out could define the legacy we'll talk about for decades.